Oh,
This is
yeah.
Monterey Martinez. She's a very
She's
funny
very crazy.
comedian, and she also does readings. And I asked her to come do a reading for me on this podcast because I thought it'd be fun.
Yeah. Okay. So your cards. So I'm gonna start with I have 3 different decks. So like I have a tarot, angels, and fairies. Okay. And they all give different types of messages. Okay. To your soul. So basically when you see cards, you just interpret it, and then if it like connects, it connects, and then we just have fun. So so like the first thing that's pulling up for you, I don't know if you're having like financial stagnant like movement, like where you feel like you're like, okay, I'm not like breaking through like something right now. And they're saying that like a lot of your financial like what's the word, not growth, but like your financial stuckness is stagnation. Okay, why don't you fucking relax? I'm just kidding. A lot of your financial stagnation is because of like the created stress and like the created like self-sabotage. So they're saying that like you have, when I say them, I mean the cards, and the voices in my head. No, but they're saying it's like you have a lot of like really good ideas, and you have like a lot of you have like ideas that have a lot of financial like merit to it, but a lot of the times like you talk yourself out of it. And so they're like, okay, so like there has to be like a time for you of like when you actually like trust yourself and you like see like an idea like all the way through, like whether it's a pilot or like whether it's like some type of like podcast idea or whether it's like a live show. Like there's something where it's like you have this idea and you've been sitting and you've been like brewing on it, but you're like, but no, but this is it fine? Yeah. But no, like this wouldn't make sense, or like it's like you're not like logically like seeing it, and so it's like kind of like making you like not like move forward. And they're like, but then you always are here being like, well, how come I'm not at this point in my career? How come I don't have this? And they're like, because of you.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
mean, this is just a story of my life.
yeah. So they're like, because of you. And then they're saying, hold on. Got it. Okay. So there, the other part is like, okay, so like one of like the biggest things that like you like need in your life is like you need to feel comfortable and you need to feel safe, and that's like something that you have to do. You're gonna have to like do like the inner like working, like whether again it's through like hypnotherapy, but I think you should do like inner child work, and again you can like look it up on YouTube. But there obviously your childhood was like very toxic, and you constantly felt like you were in danger and you constantly felt discomfort, and that's probably the reason that you have a hard time with like communicating and expressing your needs, because it's confrontational and it's uncomfortable, and that's like a trauma response of being like you don't want to be uncomfortable so bad to the point where like you'll completely like avoid things.
Yeah.
And like in order for like I always like describe it like this, like life is like a game, right? It's like a video game, and like each like level, like we have to like beat a level, and each level that you have to beat, there's a bad guy at the end of it, right? And you don't level up unless you beat that bad guy. And so like for you, like one of like your bad guys like that you're like not beating is you being able to speak up for yourself. And so like they're once you like get past like this lesson, and again this is like something where people are like, oh, how can you prove that? You just do it, and then you see that it like works, and you're like, I don't care if it's a coincidence, I don't care if it's like woo woo, but it's like if you actually like level up like your emotional intelligence, and you like level up like your environment, like meaning like the people that you associate with, the jobs that you take, the relationships you have with like your parents, whatever it is, it's like if you make sure that they're all like quality and they actually like feel good to you, you will like energetically like create like these blocks to be like broken, that you can like receive like the things that like you're supposed to receive. And they're like, the other thing that was like popping up is it's like you have like really really bad anxiety, like where like obviously I'm sure you have bad anxiety, but it's like you're not even consciously aware that like how you feel is so foreign to like how you're supposed to feel. Like there's like you won't even be able to like grasp it. Like once you feel like peace, or like once you like get to a point where you're like, oh my God, like I'm safe, you're gonna like think that you died. Like you're gonna be like, whoa, like my brain must be fucking dead, or I'm dead. Like, and it's gonna be like, no, bitch, like this is just peace. Like,
one of the first therapists I ever saw when I was at UCLA, because they provided you at UCLA, they would give you 3 sessions and that was it. But like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna take these 3 sessions. At the end of the session, he was like, I can't see you anymore because this is your 3rd session. He was like, but I strongly encourage you to seek therapy like, and continue treatment. And he was like, because they would have us like fill out a questionnaire at the beginning of each session. And he was like, you've filled out these questionnaires, whatever. And he was like, and you know, here's like, he showed me like a thing that was like in each category, you know, there was like, eating problems and you know, like anxiety, depression, like all the like categories or whatever. And he was like, it compares you to like basically the general student population. Right. And like, if you're in the yellow, it's like kind of concerning. If you're in the red, it's like very concerning. Yeah. He's like, you're in the red in almost everything except eating issues. Oh, wow. And I was like, wow.
You're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, but I feel normal. And he was like, I don't think,
because it's common. That's the only way you felt. Yeah.
He said, I don't think you know what normal is supposed to feel like. And that fucked me up for a sec. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. No, but that's like really like what it is, where it's like, you know, like your brain, like the wires are placed and like they like are working, but it's like, it's one of those things, like if a child like built a computer and it's like they just kept like putting like wires in somewhere and you're like, well, it turns on, but you're like, this is not like, it's not fucking like this is gonna blow up, you know? And so they're like, you can get to a state of like when you're gonna just like feel like so fucking like at peace, and you're gonna be like, oh, but the way you're going to do it is like, you have to feel like safe. Like you have to feel safe and you have to feel comfortable. And like a lot of, again, like your safety is like doing the inner child work, but then also like your environment, like the people that like you're around, like you have to be like, these people like love me and they have my back and they support me and they don't like have bad feelings towards me. Like if you don't feel that way around a person, like they got to go. You know, and it doesn't mean that they're a bad person, but it's like they just got to go.
Cutting people off is something I've never been able to do. I'm starting to like try and like distance myself from people but like I've never been able to just like. I had a friend, my friend Rachel, she's so good at it. Like the minute someone like fucks with her, she's like, I'm done. I never want to talk to you again. Yeah. Like, you know, I've never been able to do that. Someone could apologize to me 1,000,000 times, like, and do it over and over and over. And I'd be like, okay. And then I've done it in relationships and friendships and all that stuff. I just let people like fucking walk all over me. Yeah. But,
and that's like a challenge that like that's one of your bad guys, you know what I mean? Where it's like, sticking up for yourself, like that's the thing that like you have to like, for you to evolve, it's like you have to be able to like gain that skill set, you know?
Yeah, in both those things, like basically I just have to overcome being a fucking wimp. Just to not be a fucking
but you'll gain it like once you'll gain it once you know, it's like it's you know, popping up like the hood of a car. So it's like when you're like, okay, I don't have any coolant in the car, so that's why like the AC doesn't work. It's like everything has like a cause and effect. So it's like when you like get to like the root of it, you're like, oh, like, okay, it's not that I can't stick up for myself. It's that I don't like being uncomfortable, because once I'm uncomfortable, I'm afraid that I'm in danger. And once you like program like you're not in danger, and discomfort has a positive solution, because usually when we're uncomfortable and we communicate, then we reach a solution and then the problem's done, and it's like, this is so much easier now, you know? But yeah, so then the other card you pulled is moving forward fearlessly, which is like, you know, you like making decisions and like not backing down and not overthinking, and just being like, this is like what I'm going to set out to do. Again, like whether it's your pilot or podcast or tour or live show, like whatever it is, like you have to just like, you have to just put like your effort into it and not constantly like second guess, like, yeah, but what if they don't like this, or like they already have a lesbian show out, like, okay, but like I don't think Netflix is gonna pick this up, like all of that like has to.
So sorry.
It's okay. All of that just like has to stop, like where they're like, hey, and it's like it's just catching yourself in the moment and being like, oh, I'm having these thoughts, like let me check my mood, because your mood is indicative of your thoughts, or vice versa. So it's like if you're having bad thoughts, you're probably in a bad mood. So we have to alter our mood, not our thoughts. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to be in a great mood and having all these terrible thoughts, and you're not going to, you know, have all these terrible thoughts and be in a great mood. So it's like they go hand in hand. So, but and then the other card you pulled is beauty, which beauty is like, you know, really accepting ourselves, like physically, emotionally, like mentally. And, you know, it's hard because we live in LA, and it's like a city where it's like we're constantly like we're constantly compared to other people. Just like, even if you're just like the other female comic on the show, they're like, okay, this was the female. And it's like people are just, you know, putting you like, okay, she was this, she was that, she was this, because whatever. And then, you know, just we live in a very superficial like city. But so it's very easy to go down the path of like comparison and like envy and, you know, like wishful thinking or whatever. But it's like there are, you know, different like women's circles, and it sounds lame, but it's like there's like different like women's circles where it's like you can go, it's like free at the park, but it's like you like literally like learn to like kind of when you did shrooms at one time and you got to yourself to a state and you're like, oh, it's just a body.
Yeah.
Like it's just like what the like why do I care about this like meat sack? Like it's literally like, you know. So it's like there's sorry, my stomach is growling. There's like this other technique that like what you're supposed to do is like every day when you look in the mirror, you have to just write down however many things that you like about yourself that pop up. And even if it's just like one thing a day, if you're like, you know what, like I like the color of my eyes, or like I like the shape of my mouth, or
it sounds like torture.
I know it sounds.
It really does.
I know it sounds so lame, but it works because you want to know what? Like I had the same thing. Like, you know, people will be like, oh, you're a cute girl. But I'm like, yeah, but I got raped when I was 6 and I got beat. So like I didn't feel beautiful. I thought like there was something about me that like caused people to hurt me. That was like the only like thing that I could think of. So like my whole life, like I've never been like, oh, I'm beautiful, or like, oh, I'm an attractive person. Like I literally would like just see like a face. Like I never saw like what I like looked like. And I know it's like hard to describe, but I'm like, I just saw like a thing because I had so much shame in physical. Like I couldn't wear bikinis in front of people. I could never dress up. Like I was just like, cause I thought that if that did that, then I would have something bad would happen to me. And the same thing, like the first time I did acid, like I like saw myself as if like it wasn't like me looking at me. And I was like, I'm cute. Like I'm cute. And I'm like, oh my, and that was like the first time I ever, and it's like, we all have the ability to like see ourselves like through that filter. It just is like fucking work. And like, I naturally will pick out my flaws like all the time. Like it's just what I see automatically. It's just, I automatically just see the flaws. I'm like this. And I've been retraining myself, and it's weird because like now, like there's times where I'm like, I look at myself and I'm like, oh, like I do like this thing of myself, or I do like that, you know. And it's like, people think that like, you know, that other people don't have those same feelings. And it's like, no, it's in your mind. Like you can be, you know, there's people who are fucking anorexic as fuck, and you're like, you're so skinny, like what are you doing? But they feel so fat. And it's like, we all have like these fucking blocks. And it's like, once you like do these like things, like the mirror thing, it'll start off with like one thing or two things, but then you're literally tricking your psychology into every time you look at yourself or every time you think about yourself, that you automatically now, like, you know, subconsciously start seeing the good. And then once you start seeing the good, you start feeling good. And it's like, it's just literally like a fucking trickle effect.
Because it's hard because our brains are actually naturally wired to see the negative. Like, there was like this thing where they would like flash all these images on a screen, and like some of them like were just neutral images or positive images, and then some of them were like, you know, like an ugly ass spider or like something scary or like whatever. And you're watching these flashing images and it looks like those images are lasting longer. And then they're like, no, it actually, we showed all the images the same amount of time. But like your brain holds on to the negative things or the things that make you uncomfortable or the kind of like things. Because it's a survival instinct. It's like, oh, I have to spot the thing that's negative so that, you know. So I think like probably that translates also to our bodies. Like the first thing we spot is like,
for sure,
what isn't working here for me or what isn't working for society.
Everything hurts. Everything hurts. Fucking life sucks. Everything hurts.